Yo, it's early. And if I was to ask you how you doing, in fact, the next time you ask someone, hey, how are you doing? And they reply to you, I'm good. Tell them it's bullshit, baby. And the reason I'm saying that is because according to the National Science Foundation, you think 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. And of those 60 to 70,000 thoughts, 80% are negative. And 95% of those thoughts are repetitive, which means high-level math. On a macro level, you're thinking 6,000 roughly thoughts a day that are unique and individualized. Of those 6,000, you have micro thoughts that are attached to those thoughts. And 80% of those macro thoughts, those high-level thoughts, are negative. And you're repeating that all day. It's time to practice some gratitude. That's what we got for you today on Raw 4. We're going to practice gratitude. Let's go.
1084. Please stand by.
Hey, yo, you know it's Raw 4. Get your mind set right. All right. We're feeling good. We're feeling good this morning. Time check. What time is it?
It's 4:17 a.m.
It's 4:17 a.m. A little backed up today, but welcome to Raw F4, where our mission is very simple: to change lives by optimizing your mind to be the best version of yourself. That's all we want to do. That is all we want to do. That's what we're going to do. So today, as I referenced, we're going to talk about gratitude. That is our topic. I'll start by defining gratitude. I'll get into some of those types of thoughts that you're thinking that would constitute negativity and you might want to reconsider and get into changing in a more gracious way and apply gratitude. I'll also give you Raw 4 hot tips. 4 raw hot tips. I like that. Hopefully you like that. 4 raw hot tips for gratitude and what it means to me, how I apply it, and how I think you should bring that into your life. So we'll start, of course, as always, as I am very literal. I thought I had this up, but we'll pull this up. What is gratitude? What is gratitude? So by definition, and I do have gratitude here. Narration screen is up, and it should be up right now. If you see at the top, gratitude, attitude. So Zig Ziglar actually said the best attitude to adopt is the attitude of gratitude. I love me some Zig Ziglar. So what is gratitude? The quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation for and to return kindness. Show appreciation or readiness to show appreciation for and to return to kindness. Monster things. And what do you think about when I talk about gratitude and I define it for you? And you combine that with the fact that you now know 60 to 70,000 of your thoughts per day, or at least you're having that many thoughts, 80% of them are negative. How do we break that cycle? And even better, what are some of the examples of our negative thinking? Well, here's some negative thinking examples. I got this off of Care Counseling. It's a therapy place in Minnesota. Check this out. Pessimism are some examples of negative thought patterns. Mental filter focuses on negative, right? We may spiral into depressive thinking, making small problems into big problems. Pessimistic. Rumination, repetitive thoughts, which your brain tends to get stuck on from a negativity perspective. 95% of our thoughts are repetitive. So if we're pessimistic constantly, we're repeating that pessimism. Perfectionism, right? Like I when I thought about this topic and going into it, a lot of different ways you could go as far as, well, what am I thinking negatively? I go into, am I trying to hurt myself? Maybe that's an extreme. Maybe that's an extreme negative. And of course, some of us feel that way sometimes. There's a dark side to our negativity, but perfectionism is a big thing because what it says here, placing unrealistic high standards on ourselves. And with the advent of social media and how we just perform as people, obviously those things can come into play and be very, very difficult to overcome. Pessimism, rumination, perfectionism, some of the things that are infiltrating our brains and And that's how we would quantify some of our 60 to 70,000 thoughts, which are repetitive constantly throughout the day and are negative. So some pretty powerful stuff. So we define gratitude. We know that we think a lot of thoughts. We know that we're somewhat pessimistic. We know we're trying to be perfectionists. We know we're trying to do all these great things with our lives. So why are we in that rut? Why are we in that space of negativity? That just appears to be the human brain, right? This is what the science foundation has told us, and this is what we're doing. So now we're trying to take all these negative thoughts, all these ideas that are not producing positive outcomes for us, who are not driving us to the most optimized place in our brains, and we want to implement and instill gratitude into this practice, into our practice. So what are some of the benefits of practicing gratitude, right? Very, 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 very simple. We're going to get into some high-level things, and I think it's important to go high-level because, as you know, I do all these things, and I've been practicing all these things based on what I found on the internet. And in talking, I have relationships. As you know, my circle is very small. But I find that when I go on the internet and I see these high-level things, it makes sense. But there's some granulars that we'll get into that will eventually cross over into the hot tips. So benefits of practicing gratitude. 1, it boosts the immune system. That's a great thing, right? The more happy you feel, the better you feel inside. Inside out, outside in. Works very, very well. Improves mental health. Makes sense. If we're constantly thinking negative thoughts, you inject some gratitude into there, and all of a sudden, your mental health improves, right? I can vouch for that. Improved relationships. Take the attitude of, my wife and I, we don't always have the best of days. We don't always have the best of intentions when we do things because we're human. But if we focus on gratitude, that improves our relationships, right? Increase optimism. We talked about pessimism. Well, what's the opposite of pessimism? Optimism, right? I can think about, man, I have a presentation today and I'm very nervous to get in front of people, or I want to say hello to this person, or I want to introduce myself to this space or this topic or this idea, and there's a lot of reasons to think it's not going to work. Well, there may not be a lot of reasons to think why it's going to work, but there's a reason why things can work. That would be the optimistic view in life. All super, super, super important. All right. This is, again, a super massive, important topic for me. I'm just changing screens here. And gratitude for me has been something now that I've been practicing, I want to say religiously now for at least the past, I want to say 6 months. And I talked about when I first introduced myself to Raw at 4, or introduced Raw at 4 to the world, as far as what I do and how I got here. And gratitude is top of mind for me. So I want to recap quickly because we're about to get into some hot tips. We defined gratitude. We talked about the reason why you want to have some gratitude, which is you think a lot, and a lot of your thoughts, 80% of them, are negative, with 95% being repetitive. So you want to introduce some gratitude. We talked about why you might not be feeling gratitude. We talked about the benefits of gratitude, and all that it feels all right, cool. That makes sense. High level. What are some of the hot tips? Let's go. Raw 4 hot tips. Hot tips. All right, baby. So I wrote these down. And I want to give them to you. I want to give them to you as I wrote them. I should have been more prepared here. You think I took all that time this morning? Got up at 2:30 today again. All right. The number. I'm gonna stand this up here to try to do this whole looking into the camera thing to a different view. I hope it comes off well. But as always, trying to make adjustments on Raw at 4. So, the first thing that I would give you as a hot tip for gratitude is you want to practice it daily, right? And how do you practice gratitude? Many different ways. But what you want to do is set the tone to start and end your day with gratitude. And what I'm really going to focus on is your mental aspect, right? I'll get into one of my tips as far as communicating through gratitude. But for now, you just really want to get into the practice of starting my day and ending my day through gratitude. You can do that through prayer, meditation, or just in your brain. I wake up thankful for this breath. I'm happy for this day. Get going. When you go to sleep, thankful for this day. I got through it. Hopefully I get another one tomorrow, all right? So start and end your day with gratitude. What you also want to do is, right, if you look by definition, I wrote this down, always be ready to show appreciation was part of the gratitude definition. Always be ready to show appreciation. That requires humility. You have to humble yourself all the way through and through to start to realize the types of gratitude that is inside of respective situations you're in, inclusive of just everyday normal life. I woke up today. I'm grateful for that. I got to sleep today. I'm grateful for that. Look around you, you selfish fuck. If you have a bed to sleep in and covers and heat and all these things, plenty of things to be grateful for, right? The third hot tip, and I think this is important. This is some of what I do. You want to thank yourself for yourself every day. And you want to do that in the mirror. All right. And I'll give you my real exclusive hot tip. I go in the mirror feeling like a gorilla sometimes. Right? Just do that. It looks cheesy. It feels corny. Just doing that. I feel good inside. Thank you. Thank you just for being you, man. I don't need no one else to thank me, validate me, or solidify who I am. I thank myself. I show myself gratitude. Do that every day. It's a hot tip number 3. 3 happens to be my favorite number. Then the fourth thing you want to do is send a gratitude communication daily. Send a gratitude communication daily. And you can do that by focusing in on your circle, identifying what should be those top 5 people who are your energy vampires in a good way because they're producing energy to you as well as you're producing energy for them. We talked about that. So this is where it comes into play. And it doesn't have to be that circle. You can branch outside of your circle as you expand relationships. But when you start this practice, send a text, send an email. I don't think we do this anymore, but write a note, write a letter, right? You can do that. Something that communicates. Social media, send somebody a direct message, post on their wall, depending on where they are in their social media preferences, or a comment. Just give them something positive and powerful. Show gratitude. Show gratitude. Of course, the benefit of that is typically it's reciprocated, right? Beautiful, beautiful things. I'm gonna recap my raw 4 hot tips. Commit to the practice daily. Do it to start and end your day preferably, just by simply waking up, saying thank you, going to sleep, saying thank you. Humble yourself, because by definition, you need to always be ready to show appreciation. That is the definition of gratitude. 3, look in the mirror and thank yourself daily. All right. And the last thing is communicate your gratitude. Don't be selfish with it. Don't be selfish with it as you expand and really adopt gratitude into your life. Share that shit, man. Share it. It feels really, really, really good. Those are my 4 raw hot tips. And that feels good. It feels really, really good. Ooh, we're flowing today. We're flowing today. And what's going to happen now? To close the show, I'm gonna get into a raw rant. And just talk about why I think this topic specifically is important and why I think it's a massive thing to do to just from my perspective, my real and where I sit, right? And what I really wanted to go into is the idea of gratitude for me, right? Like I believe it's, as I said, monstrous. It's changed my world dramatically. And if you've been following me for any good amount of time, or you might have peeped some of my videos, we're going into in some sort of a sequence, some sort of a flow of, how do we start to be more cognizant with ourselves? How do we start to be more mindful? How do we take control? How do we get into a routine? How do we shrink our circles? How do we maximize our energy sources, right? How do we eliminate energy vampires? All these things that we're doing to try to optimize ourselves. It all goes into really reshaping our brain. I talked about the mission at Raw 4. change lives by optimizing your mind. That's simple, being the best version of yourself. So gratitude is, I think, a foundational component that you have to layer in to your core. Like you think about core values. Businesses have core values. They talk about branding. They talk about who you are and what defines you. You buy and purchase and like and subscribe and click on things that make you feel certain ways. And you are somewhat, in some capacity, I think, grateful for it. Whether you're acknowledging that it's time wasted or not, or time that's optimized for you is a different story. But there's some kind of graciousness and gratitude that you're likely showing for what you're doing and how you're doing it. So when you think about this topic and you think about some of the information I shared, like to think 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day, and 80% of them are negative, 95% of them are repetitive, where do you go? Where do you go? And here's what I found. I find that, and I was, and maybe you are, so deep into your past and so far into your future that the main data point you're missing, that coincidentally will write your past and dictate your future, is the present moment. So my question to you from a gratitude perspective is, where are you in the current moment? And that's a difficult thing to do, because a lot of our repetitive thoughts go where? Our pessimistic thoughts, our thoughts of perfectionism. Where are they going? It's reflection. We talked about reflection. Doesn't feel like healthy reflection, but we execute something and boom, it's like we start to judge. Damn, it may not be what I wanted to do. You know, when I woke up in the morning, how did you really feel when you woke up in the morning? Right? In my pillars of life, in my circle relationships with my family, with my significant other, am I focused on displaying gratitude there, or are my thoughts on, man, I had an argument with my wife last night. So when I woke up this morning, is that furthering into your day and just snowballing? Right? I talked about having 6,500 or 6,000, high level macro thoughts that feed into micro thoughts, make up all those other 60 to 70,000. What's happening there? Are you focused in on what's happening there? And the likelihood is that of those natural differentiating 6,000 thoughts that occur daily, you're probably just repeating these thoughts every day. So they're not technically that fresh, and or they're influenced by the day. And if you're not getting the outcome you wish, then it impacts your mood and your ability to show gratitude. So what does all this mean for me? Or what am I trying to say to you? It's the idea that your consciousness, you have to reprogram your consciousness to introduce gratitude to it as frequently as possible, which is why I talk about daily practices to start and end your day and being that level of consistent. Otherwise, how do you incorporate gratitude when you're subconsciously in a situation that you may or may not want to be in? How can you process it as anything other than negative? Because you're not gracious, you're not grateful, and you're not in the moment appreciative. And what I say there, by definition, you're not ready to show appreciation. And you don't realize you're not ready to show appreciation until you really analyze what you've been thinking every day, and you understand that gratitude hasn't been incorporated. Take a moment of your life, because that's what we are, a combination of moments. We know that there's past, we know that there's future, the moment. What you do in those moments obviously define you, but staying conscious to those moments, regardless of if it's an adverse situation, there is a silver lining in everything. You may not want to accept what that is. It may not be the utopia you're looking for. It may not be the outcome you want to write down on paper as what you desire to be and want, but that doesn't make it negative. It doesn't mean that you can't be grateful for what comes in of that moment, regardless of what the moment leads you to and what the outcome is. Regardless of what you have and don't have, And it's more so we focused on what we don't have. If you look around you, we're in a phenomenal world of abundance. Rich, poor, right, wrong, and different, regardless of where you sit. If you're an American, you have a massive opportunity in front of you. You just do. Whether or not you're redundant in your everyday life and not getting what you want because you're frustrated in your pillars of professional work, individualized your circle relationships, who you are with your own individual self, because there's a relationship there, and the variables that naturally come into your life. You can take control and dictate more of your thoughts and outcome if you simply inject gratitude into your process. And of course, tragedy strikes, trials and tribulations are deep. I don't know what you're going through, high level, or even on a micro level, but I'm sure you're going through something. And regardless of that something you go through, there is a way to inject gratitude in it so that you can at least find within yourself to say, regardless of what's happening, I can have an appreciation that this breath is all I need right now to take me through this moment and guide me forward and change perspective. We talked about reflection and what that does. Change my outcomes so that I'm more grateful. You have that power. The fact is, you're going to think 60 to 70,000 thoughts per day. Your brain works that way. It's on you how you think and how you feel about what you think. Open up your mind for gratitude. Open up your heart for gratitude. Be ready at all times. And may everything you desire come to you exactly as you deserve. Raw 4. We'll see you next week.